I'm British. I've lived in Krakow for 20 years, and I've set up a number of businesses employing around 450 people. All of them are headquartered here in Krakow. The reason I do these workshops is I always try to set some goals. One of them is to be useful. Many of you will be working, maybe all of you will be working, and it's good to share experience with people who've got experience. Secondly, it's to set an example. I'm on a committee for Światowy Tydzień Przedsiębiorczości. Proszę, zapraszam do środka, nie musicie, jest miejsce wolne, chodź do środka. I'm on a committee, Światowy Tydzień Przedsiębiorczości, Komitet Honorowego dla Polski. I w Polsce, in Poland there isn't this tradition of business people working with schools and universities. So how many people here want to set up a business? Ile ludzi tutaj obecnie chce mieć własną firmę w przyszłości? To fantastyczne. That's very good. Well, I would in 20 years' time, when you're my age, I would like you to be giving talks to students about what it's like being in business, because it's much better to hear from people with experience. Several of my businesses, so partly I'm just trying to be an example. The third thing is sharing knowledge. I think to jest sprawa oczywiście. JRL rule. How many people here know what the JRL rule is? Zasada JRL. Nikt. I'm not surprised. JRL is John Randolph Lucas. That's my father, my ojciec. He was a lecturer, wykładowca in Oxford University teaching philosophy. And, well, I'll do a maths test. How many of you finished high school, liceum? How many people finished liceum in Poland? Okay. And how many lessons do you have a week, approximately, in a Polish high school, liceum? 40? Okay, and how many weeks are you at school during the school year, approximately? No. What about holidays? You're Michał, right? Okay. So Michał, you're a businessman. You're 40. Okay. So how many hours of lessons do you have in a year, approximately, in a Polish high school? This is a maths question.
It was 40 times.
40. Yeah.
40. 1,600.
Okay, that's very good. Okay. So how many? Wait. I haven't finished. How many lessons can you remember from your final year of high school?
Probably not too many.
How many? Approximately 100.
200.
You can remember 200. Okay, that's good. How many ile jeszcze ludzi może pamiętać? Ile pamiętacie lekcje z ostatni rok szkolny w waszym liceum? Approximately. More than 100, less. Okay, how many less than 100? Okay, how many less than 50? Less than 10. Okay, the JRL rule. My father said, if they remember one thing, it's a successful lecture, okay? One thing, because you don't remember many things. And so I'm ambitious. I want you to remember more than one thing. And the one thing that I'd say you should remember, at least one thing, is I'm really bad at remembering names and faces, so I make a map, okay? For example, I think you're Beata, right? Yeah, that's Beata. And if I go to Pod Jaszczurami this evening for the party and I meet you and you don't recognize me, or rather, I don't recognize you, just remember that I used a map. Michał, Beata. If you go to business meetings and you can't remember who's who and you make a map, people are really, really impressed. And, as Grzegorz said, he wanted to remember something useful, right? So it's useful to have the map, okay? So that's one thing, but I hope it's not the only thing. The fifth goal is to have participation and involvement. The reason I get people to introduce themselves is just to kind of wake people up. It's not always like this, sometimes in other university departments, Uniwersytet Ekonomiczny, ludzie nie mówią nic, and so I'm very happy with your level of activity. Consider entrepreneurship as a lifestyle choice. Many of you want to have your own businesses. But do you get support from your families or opposition from your families when you say you want... For the people who put their hand up when they wanted to start a business, when I asked the question, do you want... How many people put their hands up? Okay, you remember. And how does your family feel about this? Are they positive or negative? Something between? In my experience, you don't get a lot of people promoting the idea of having your own business. Why is that? Why do you think that is? It's risky, yeah, it's risky. I'm going to show, if this works, okay, so I also want to tell you things you don't know. How many people here have heard of TED.com? Okay, so for the people who haven't heard of TED.com, I'm on the organizing committee of TEDx Krakow, and I'm going to show you a short TED film about about the rules of success. This is from TED.com. I hope the technology is going to work. This is translated into Polish for those of you who struggle with fast English, and I hope it's going to work. Let's see.
This is really a 2-hour presentation I give to high school students, cut down to 3 minutes. And it all started one day on a plane on my way to TED, 7 years ago. And in the seat next to me was a high school student, a teenager, and she came from a really poor family. And she wanted to make something of her life. And she asked me a simple little question. She said, "What leads to success?" And I felt really badly because I couldn't give her a good answer. So I get off the plane and I come to TED. And I think, geez, I'm in the middle of a room of successful people. So why don't I ask them what helped them succeed and pass it on to kids? So here we are, 7 years, 500 interviews later, and I'm going to tell you what really leads to success and makes TEDsters tick. And the first thing is passion. Freeman Thomas says, "I'm driven by my passion." TEDsters do it for love, they don't do it for money. Carol Coletta says, "I would pay someone to do what I do." And the interesting thing is, if you do it for love, the money comes anyway. Work. Rupert Murdoch said to me, "It's all hard work. Nothing comes easily, but I have a lot of fun." Did he say fun, Rupert? Yes. TEDsters do have fun working, and they work hard. I figured they're not workaholics, they're workaholics. Good. Alice Garden says, to be successful, put your nose down in something and get damn good at it. There's no magic, it's practice, practice, practice. And it's focus. Norman Jewison said to me, I think it all has to do with focusing yourself on one thing. And push. David Gallo says, push yourself. Physically, mentally, you've got to push, push, push. You got to push through shyness and self-doubt. Goldie Hawn says, I always had self-doubts. I wasn't good enough, I wasn't smart enough, I didn't think I'd make it. Now, it's not always easy to push yourself, and that's why they invented mothers. Frank Gehry said to me, my mother pushed me. Serve. Sherwin Newland says it was a privilege to serve as a doctor. Now, a lot of kids tell me they want to be millionaires, and the first thing I say to them is, okay, well, you can't serve yourself. You got to serve others something of value, because that's the way people really get rich. Ideas. TEDster Bill Gates says, I had an idea. Founding the first microcomputer software company. I'd say it was a pretty good idea. And there's no magic to creativity and coming up with ideas. It's just doing some very simple things. And I give lots of evidence. Persist. Joe Kraus says persistence is the #1 reason for our success. You got to persist through failure. You got to persist through crap, which of course means criticism, rejection, assholes, and pressure. So the answer to this question is simple. Pay $4,000 and come to TED. Or failing that, do the 8 things, and trust me, these are the big 8 things that lead to success. Thank you, TEDsters, for all.
The title of this talk is How to an Entrepreneur's Perspective on the Internet, and the Internet is a good thing and a bad thing for business people. But first of all, can the people who said they wanted to have a business or do have a business give me some of their reasons? What are the possible reasons for wanting to have a business? This isn't a difficult question, but it's a longer list than just one. So I didn't make a map of everyone. I'm going to start with you, Michał. Why do you want to have? Why do you have a business? What's your motivation? Maybe could you start again? Okay.
I'm on my own. I'm doing what I plan to do, and I'm realizing my aims. And I think it's like a way of spending my time more efficiently than working for other people.
Okay. Other people who wanted to have a business. What are the motivations? The reason I like to have participation involvement is that, you know, you learn more if you speak and think. You know, this is Saturday night, you could be having fun in a bar. So if you've chosen to come here at all, it's really, the more you put into this workshop, the more you get out. So come on, there's got to be more than just one reason. Michał's reason to like do his own thing, be productive, is a good reason. This guy over there. Oh, hi.
Hi, Richard. It's really hard. And I have to push myself to the top, and
Może
that's
być
great.
problem. Jeśli ktoś chce coś powiedzieć po polsku, to nie jest problem. To ja mówię po
Is my
angielsku.
English really so bad?
Nie. Ale powiedziałeś, że trudno jest ci powiedzieć coś, ale...
No, it's hard to be entrepreneur. So it's great, and it pushed me to do everything the best I can, and I never can fail. So that's why I want to do it.
Okay, so we've got two reasons. One is it's like a challenge. The second reason is independence. Are there any other reasons people might want to set up a business? Yeah, you? And I don't think we got to the introduction, so you can tell me your name as well.
So my name is Gala. I have always wanted to have my own social network, like something between Facebook and Nasza Klasa.
You want to set up another Facebook, yeah?
Something more.
Yeah. Okay, but why? Why? What's your ambition? Why? I'm talking about the reasons. Dlaczego?
Because when I was a child, może powiem to po prostu po polsku.
Okay.
Kiedy byłam młoda, zaczęłam współpracować z jednym z serwisów społecznościowych, który był jednym w Polsce. I aktualnie już jest to 8. rok, kiedy z nimi współpracuję i uważam, że moje doświadczenie, które zdobyłam podczas całej tej współpracy, mogę wykorzystać właśnie w biznesie, który tworząc, robiłabym tak naprawdę to, co chcę robić. To jest po prostu moja pasja.
Okay, so we have passion, independence and the challenge. Are there any other reasons why someone might want to have business? Yeah.
When you have your own business, you can provide something of value to the world, and like you can't do really. For example, you have a bright idea. You want to change something in the world. You can't do it while working in the shop or working in the cafe. But when you start your own business, you can find a way to make profit from something valuable and make this change happen. There are lots of interesting startups going on around. For example, I'm really inspired by people who are trying to reinvent the food transportation system in Great Britain. There are food tubes startup. That's one of the brilliant ideas that can be created by having your own business.
Okay, and you're Mateusz, right? Mateusz?
Yeah.
That's your name. Your name? Yeah. So my map is still working. Great. Okay. Okay, and someone over here. Yeah.
I would like to only agree with the previous speakers, but the private business means the law of people very often very fast. So the issues which are possible within own private company are, on my opinion, within webmastering, very basic plugins, few developments within the mistakes like within the operating systems and Microsoft Linux, and of course Linux is open source. So the private company is great, especially because of the independence, but this is not the best, especially that even something so not simple but only pleasant, like computer games. The good computer games is always created within years and longer periods of time. So for more advanced and more intensive and strict projects, the small company, even Microsoft, by IBM, they had said no to IBM, and later yes, but they had bought the DOS, the shell, the kind of Unix. It wasn't, even if they were good programmers and good knowledge, and it was the company, they was afraid of more and harder projects. So this is cool idea, and let me only agree, I would like to only agree, but for me webmastering can be the issue. I think those issues quite simple, basic, not very advanced like big operating system.
Okay, any other? I feel like there's one reason why people go into business that no one's mentioned. Can anyone? What was that? Yeah, money. That's actually the top of the list. I'm not very good at PowerPoint, so I'm quite happy I've got a slide that appears one line at a time. We had that one. Sometimes someone sees it as a problem that they need to solve. Quite often, it's because you can't get a job. You know, no one wants to give you a job, so you really don't have a choice. Some people hate working in large companies. They just don't like the big company atmosphere. Sometimes people get given a business. I met a man yesterday in Italy who gave his business to his sons. Sometimes people think it's cool to have a business. I can tell you it's cool to have a successful business. It's not cool to have a business that fails. That's quite unpleasant. And your own reasons, of course. But let's think about the internet now. What does the internet mean for entrepreneurs? How can you use the internet for business advantage? Because this workshop is about using the internet for business, but it's not just about internet businesses. I'm not necessarily talking about, or who can give me examples of classic internet businesses, starting with the really well-known famous ones? What are good examples of business? Yep. eBay. Good, thank you. And what's your name? Gabriel, where are you from?
I'm from Mexico.
Okay, so is anyone further away from Krakow than Mexico? Is there anyone from somewhere further away? I'm from England. You're from Mexico. Is there anyone from Australia here or New Zealand? No. Okay, so you're probably.
Oh, okay, no, sorry.
Okay. So yeah, eBay. Other examples of classic pure internet businesses? Amazon. Yep. Google, right, okay. But, okay, I'm talking about how you can use those businesses sometimes to your business advantage. What sort of things are easier thanks to the internet these days? When I was starting a business, the internet really didn't exist. And there are some things that are just like so much easier thanks to the internet. What? Finding information, okay. Okay, what is harder? It's the same issue. Finding good information, I would say it's easier to find good information, it's easier to find bad information. But is that always a good thing, that it's easy to get information? When?
Because everybody has access to this information.
Yes. What are the other problems with information being very easily available? What other sort of problems does it? Because most of the internet issues, it's like a coin. There are two sides. There's a good side, there's a bad side. And if you're thinking about the internet, for sure, finding out information is easier. But when can it be a problem that information is very easily available? The information about you. Okay, but why is that a bad thing if someone knows about you?
There is no privacy.
Okay, but okay, so what's your name? Kasia. So why is it a bad thing if you have no privacy from a business? I'm talking just in a business perspective, of course.
Actually, in a business perspective, it can be a problem for the consumers who not often really wanted to use some business, right? So if someone tells me that, if Facebook tells me that I like some kind of stuff, even though the Facebook may be right, I don't like this this destroying my privacy.
Okay.
I want to choose not to be chosen by this business.
Okay, how many people here are on Golden Line? How many people know about Golden Line? Okay, and what's the main English language equivalent of Golden Line? LinkedIn. Okay, I'll give you an example now, because the good thing about these portals is makes it very easy to get information about other people's businesses. And the bad thing is that it's very easy for other people to find your stuff, and I don't know how well this is going to work. Okay, how many people here use LinkedIn, and what do you use it for? Or Golden Line?
Like to work in the future with.
Okay, I'm having a few technical problems here. Can someone see if I'm making a typing error? Yeah, okay, that's a basic mistake. Get your phone. Is that right? Okay, well, I think I'm not going to do this live because it may go quite slowly and I don't want to waste your time. In LinkedIn there are groups. We've started hiring people in Krakow hiring people from the UK who we find through LinkedIn, which is great for us. We find them by joining groups that are connected to the industries we're in, and looking at people who are posting in those groups and making contact with them. That's good for us. What's the downside of that process? How can that go wrong for us? Okay, exactly. And what do you think you can do if you have a business and you're worried about your staff getting headhunted because of their participation in forums like LinkedIn and Facebook and Golden Line? What can you do? Be the best, okay. How can you be the best? Okay, that's not a great... Being the best is a good answer, but without saying how is like Tina Turner, right? You're just simply the best. And no, how can you be the best?
What you can do is to forbid them to use those portals.
Forbid you. How many people here would work for a company that forbade you to use LinkedIn and Golden Line? Do you think it's feasible? And suppose I want to hire you, and I say, oh, by the way, you're not allowed to use LinkedIn.
Yes, but I said you cannot do this as a bad rule.
Oh, bad rule, okay.
So that's one. But it would be great to involve those people in your company, not only to bind them by money you provide to them every month, but also other things like other kind of bonds.
Okay, someone at the front, yeah? Who are you? Mateusz? Mateusz, yeah? No? What's your name?
Jacek.
Oh, my maps failed. Okay.
Well, it depends on what kind of business you want to have, but if you want to have a creative business, like an internet business or generally software business, then from what I read, it's important to have a developer-friendly culture, just to be a company friendly for developers. For example, many people wanted to go to Google a few years ago because they were known as the most friendly company for the developers. They had good atmosphere, and they knew that in creative work you can't really bind people to your company with money. itself by its own. It is also important what you are working on and what's the atmosphere in the company.
Yeah, absolutely. And there isn't one of the important things to note in business. It's not like mathematics or hard science. There aren't like right and wrong answers. What's right for one company and organization may not be right for another. But certainly you need to be aware it's much more competitive. You know, if you're a good company, you can compete. And some of the guys we've got, and like they're older guys who are like, sometimes they've been working in the industry, were in Poland longer than we've been in business. You know, some of these guys have 20 years experience, but they're dissatisfied with not with the money, but with the culture of the organization they're in. So one of the things you can do, and if you know what you're good at and you have a good corporate culture, is you can project that and you can compete. But on the other hand, you know, can work against you. If you have a bad corporate culture, you can find many other people will be going after your good people. What else? What opportunities does the internet give to? This is particularly for the people who are thinking of starting their own business, or the people who've got their own business, like Michał. What opportunities does the internet give you as an entrepreneur that you wouldn't? I'll start with you because I know you are already trading, so you can speak from experience. What does it enable you to do that wouldn't be possible without the internet?
First thing is the communication. Today, sitting at this place, I'm doing business with some Sicily business partner.
What is your business? Can you tell us?
I'm doing some marketing stuff and writing applications in context of marketing. So like off-site brand management, something like that, for different companies in different parts of Europe right now.
Okay, so you're doing it internationally.
Yeah, and I'm not going there usually. I'm working on my place or anywhere else, like here, and that's only because of the internet and only because of the means of communication we have right now.
Okay, for sure, it makes the process of reaching a global market much more feasible. I'll talk more about sales in a bit, but so communication, reaching a larger market. What other opportunities does the internet give an entrepreneur? Someone else? What else can you use the internet for? That we've talked about information being easily available and how that's a good thing and a bad thing. What other things is the internet great for? Maybe, yeah, you're Grzegorz?
Mateusz.
You can see my map. If your handwriting is not very good, then the map idea may not work. So Grzegorz, yeah.
So you can communicate with your customers.
Communicating with your customers, yes. What else? I think we were talking about that earlier, yep.
Well, actually that was important. You can get feedback from your customers and you can't control anything when you don't have a feedback.
Getting customer feedback. So, and there are various things to do with customers. These are important things, but there's a different type of thing you can do on the internet, which is really, really important as an opportunity. Yep, that's... can't remember, didn't write it down.
Viola.
Okay.
So for if someone wants to start his own business, it's a great opportunity to find a good team to this company, using, for example, a golden line. It's a great opportunity if you have your own website to create an offer for your customers, and except that you can get a feedback from your customers. You can be more mobile, using some tools to communicate with your family, friends, and sharing your hobby, sharing information about your hobby.
Okay, so we've got like recruitment, getting customer feedback, developing an offer. Anything else? Advertising, yeah, marketing and advertising, yes?
We're talking about communication, but for some businesses, internet is the main object of business. So without the internet, there would be no business.
Yeah, sure. It's hard to imagine Google without the internet, right? It doesn't make sense, right? Okay. One of the key things, in fact, in business, I'm not going to go through this presentation slide by slide. One of the things I would say is that the internet is much bigger than business. But everything you do in your private life with the internet can apply to business. One of the problems we didn't talk about with the distribution of information is it's harder to keep a secret. You know, if you've got some confidential information in some confidential know-how, it's going to be much harder in the days of the internet to keep your internal information confidential. So on the other hand, it's easier to find out information about other people's businesses. Has anyone seen this cartoon of this from the early days of the internet that says, "When I'm online, no one knows I'm a dog"? It's got a picture of a dog in front of a keyboard with a big smile on his face, with this think bubble saying, "No one knows you're a dog." And can you think of when is the internet good for projecting a positive image of your business? How would you do that if you're a very small business? Lying. Okay. In what way would you lie? Who said that, by the way? Okay. How would you lie about your business?
Claim you're the best. You have the cheapest prices, for example, right? Like if you go to all these websites where they have like advertisements about having the cheapest prices, and they actually don't, but people just believe because it says there that it's just cheaper than any other thing. And another thing that I wanted to add before about your question before is that internet also helps you a lot because you know who you're competing with. You know who your competitors are. You know what is that you have to do better, or what you have to improve, or what the others are improving for you to become the best, for example, if that's your aim of this business, right?
Okay, exactly. Competition analysis is one of the things I was looking for. In terms of, for small entrepreneurs, if you can build a great website really cheaply, a website that looks very good, what do you do when you're on a website if you want to check whether the company is a big company or a small company? What sort of things? Suppose you're looking at a website and you think, I was going to do this online, but I think the internet connection here is a bit slow. What do you do if you want to check out a company? Suppose you have an idea, you want to see what the competition is, you start looking for competitors, and you think, that looks like a competitor, and you want to check. Jak sprawdzić, czy oni są duże, czy małe, czy oni są poważni, czy nie? How do you do that? How do you check a website, check a company on its website? Okay, how many languages? I like that answer because I'm a shareholder in a translation company, and of course we say if you don't have a multilingual website, you're not very professional. One is the number of languages. What else can you do? This is quite an easy question. What else can you do to check whether a company is big or small? Email them. Okay, you can ask them, are you big or small? But what can you do without letting them know that you're checking them? Okay, their references, yep. What?
Within the deal on the internet, the authentication is clear. For example, Facebook, Face, everything clear, step by step, verbatim, this is clear for everybody. But when someone, for example, would like to your plugin, to your program, and you are working at your home, within your climate, your hours, so at night, and the mornings, and days are for sleeping, etc. This is quite cool, especially if good programmer, money is definitely before the program. But Face this is quite cool way to be, even if company is big or small.
Okay, yeah.
So you can see if they are hiring and how many people they are hiring.
Okay, There's a very easy thing no one's mentioned. What? Okay, you can check their capital. Yeah.
Customers.
Yes, I mean, I think yes, yeah. Yeah, and in fact, I sometimes give workshops on recruitment, and I give people, if people are looking at getting an internship, I always say it's a good idea to just Google the name of the company and internship, and sometimes the word boring, and sometimes there are these companies like, well, I won't name names because that could be illegal, but if you just Google boring internship Krakow, it's quite interesting to see what comes up. Usually a company will have about us or on us, and you can look at that. That's one thing. The number of offices they have is an obvious thing. If they've got an office in South America, an office in Tokyo, and an office in North America, and an office in London, and probably that shows they're big. What's a sign of a very small company? What are the classic signs of a very small company? And this would be advice for people who are starting businesses like I did with effectively no money, things to avoid. What would be a telltale sign that a business is really small? Basically, you've got a great website, but behind it there's just you. What would be ways to tell? Yeah, and no address, just a phone number, or what else would be a sign? Sorry, I don't understand. Can you give an example?
For example, when we are visiting a site about some company, when we get into contact us, we can see so many email address to each person who is cooperating some kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, if you but some companies they deliberately restrict the number of email addresses on the site. So, the classic small company thing is a mobile phone number only, and no landline numbers. That makes it look like there's just one guy. If there's if you only have your mobile phone number on the website, or a private address, if it says, I don't know, Budryka 4/71 jako address, this is obvious. That's a private apartment. What's a good solution? And why is that a bad thing if you're a business to have a small look and feel to your address? What signal does it send to the customer? And is that a good signal or a bad signal? If you just got a private address and a mobile phone number. You can't afford your own office. You may be very clever, but you haven't been very successful yet. What else does it say? Yeah.
We may seem unprofessional.
Right. Exactly. And what's a good solution to this problem? What? But suppose you don't have much money. What's it?
It's not a very cheap thing to find a land telephone number and the address. The address costs 100 zlotys right now in Poland, in Krakow, in entrepreneurship incubator. I don't know the word. Inkubatorach technologicznych na przykład. And the phone number is like a Skype thing for 15 zlotys per month.
Exactly. Obviously, if you have no money at all, this may be a barrier, but it's actually amazingly cheap to solve these problems. And the guy who we're hiring from the UK, who's joining one of our businesses here in Poland, the company he works for now has an American office, and they pay $300 a month. Someone will answer the phone in their name and say, sorry, whoever they want to speak to is in a meeting, I'll put you through to voicemail. And then they pick up the voicemail in the UK office and call back. and that's so they have an American office that costs them $300 a month. Here in Krakow Technology Park. You can have the address, your company name, Krakow Technology Park, for 100 zloty a month. If you are more ambitious, you can go to the St. John's Innovation Centre in Cambridge University, and for £100 a month, you can have an address there, where, you know, and that might look better than Krakow Technology Park, depending on what you do. What's a very good thing to do in business is to think about the problem, but not just the problem, but what the solution is. And client analysis, competition analysis. So suppose you want to analyze the competition. Okay, can one of the people who has a business idea tell us what it is, or is that too confidential? Is there anyone ready to share their idea? Quite often this question produces a shocked silence and people think, no way. Okay, sure.
I actually want to start. I want to start a big chain of Mexican little places, like Mexican restaurants. That's what I want to do.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. I wonder what advantage you have.
Well, simple. It's like there is no Mexican food here yet.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so let's talk about using the internet for competition analysis. How would you do that? It's not hard, but what? No, not just you, Gabriel, but someone else. Competition analysis is why I think it's obvious why you need to know what your competition is, but what would you do if you were trying to analyze the competition for your business idea? What tools would you use? And don't just say Google, because Google's a bit general. We all know about Google. What bits of Google would you use? Okay.
Like, for example, when I was thinking about some business, I already checked whether in Krakow they do the service or anything similar to something I was thinking about.
Okay. I think the number one rule is try to buy what you want to sell. Just, if you've got your business idea, just imagine I'm a customer and I'm trying to buy it online. But one thing that's really important is not to limit your search to Polish alone, because any kind of internet business will have competition from foreign companies. And you know, I invest in startups, and I was talking to someone who said I have no competition and they showed me their search terms, and they were doing it in Polish. But it turned out there were companies in New Zealand and Singapore and Mumbai in India and somewhere in Argentina doing exactly what they wanted to do. And this was an internet business, so just as Michal has customers in Western Europe, there would be nothing to stop someone competing internationally with their business in Poland. So try to buy what you want to sell. What sort of things would you be looking for? Suppose we take the example of the Mexican gastronomia, the gastronomia mexicansky, and you found that there's 10 or 15 companies in Poland that seem to be active in this market, and you're trying to understand your competition. What sort of things would you be looking at in your competition analysis? What sort of questions would you have? Yeah?
Actually, this is also not exactly, but within the percentage continuity of the previous speaker. I mean, the marketing research, few previous speakers, marketing research, the generating, not searching like Google is searching, generating information via the internet, but first of all, private policy. Second is the databases. Wikipedia is quite of informal, free knowledge, but for business purposes, this is the license is talking. This is also the generating information by generator on the internet, not searching engine. Even so good advanced like Google is very, very delicate, touching the policy of privacy and can generate the passwords. So many people can disagree. This is quite, but for marketing purposes, for example, the searching like for example, agriculture, apples in Wrocławskie between 1975 and 2010. To check it out, how this was working, how is this going. The marketing research by those years, and within those issues can give the overview. Should we go within this way or leave it to the previous owners and try to focus on something else? Anyway, generating on the internet is something new and still not activates on the internet within the scale, in my opinion.
Okay, if you imagine you're on the website of your competitor, okay, what sort of questions are you trying to answer? So you've got your startup idea, and you're trying to. Okay, yeah.
What can I do better than them? What are their disadvantages? What they do bad? What they don't provide in that business area to the customer, and I can provide. And what are my advantages over them right now?
Exactly. I mean, this is very, very important, that you have to have a concept in business of why people would choose to do business with you. And if you've got a startup and these guys are already in business, you're coming from behind. So what can you do better? You might be looking for things that are missing in their offer, but what are more positive things? What else could you... What other questions should you be asking when you're looking at a competitor's website? You can get masses of interesting information. Yep?
What prices they have?
Okay. Do you always get prices on websites?
If they don't, you can check their localization and go there and check if they are popular, what prices they have. And
okay, but take Michal's web development business. If you think you go and knock on his apartment door and ask him his prices, do you think he'll tell? What? Yeah. Okay, pricing information is one set of information for sure. It's a very, very good thing to get that kind of information if you can. What else? Michal talked about seeing what you could do better than them. What else can you learn? Yep.
Well, I'd like to go again to the topic of hiring. I remember a story from Paul Graham, the Y Combinator guy, the man who created Y Combinator, the venture capital startup for startups. Mm-hmm. He once had a startup, and he, in information technology, he was creating a website for shops that then after that become the Yahoo stores. Like Yahoo stores is his startup after being bought by Yahoo. And he said that while he and his friend were having the startup, they were carefully looking for who was hiring, who the companies were hiring, what kind of people they wanted to hire, and they looked at the skills required. For example, in case of information technology, if they would see that the competitor would like to hire people who code in Java or C++ or some hard languages, which are not really suitable for startups, they would sleep well. But if they, for example, he said that if they see someone who was hiring, for example, Perl or maybe Lisp, they would be not sleeping well. They'll be really, really worried. So it's like lesson here is look for what kind of technology the competitors want, because it means it tells about how they work inside and how will they react to changes.
For sure. Certainly looking at your competitors' hiring patterns can be very valuable. We had the question, what can I do better? But equally, you can ask the question, what are they doing right? What is this company doing that means that it's successful? Because it's very easy to think, I can do better. But these guys are in business and presumably they're making a profit. Excuse me. How can you tell if a company is making a profit? Does everyone know how to do that?
Very, very important information is about their customers. So profit is one of the things I can get from that. but also...
How can you tell if they're making a profit by looking at their customers? What's the mechanism?
Okay, I cannot say if they really have a profit, but that can show me that yes, there is market, yes, someone succeed with their product, which is in my field of interest. So that is something which can prove me that my idea wasn't wrong, and there is place for that kind of product. It's always great to know that before I check it after building the product. So that is one information. I don't know if they are profitable from only that information, but that can show me that if there is a lot of interesting customers, and already I've checked that is small company, that might show me that probably they would have the profit.
We can check if they want to hire someone.
For sure, if they're hiring people. There's this company called Dun & Bradstreet. There are many like them. But actually every spółka ZOO in Poland has the obligation to file its accounts every year. And for not much money you can actually buy the information of, this is their website. They're not the only people like this. But if you think it's important, you can look it up in the KRS, the Krajowy Rejeśtr Sądowy, and it's there. In most Western European countries and in America, there's a legal obligation for people to file their accounts. If you're looking at your competitors, the people you want to compete with, and is it a good thing or a bad thing if they're making money? Why? Yes, I mean it's certainly the case that if people are making money, it tells you that there's money in that business. And you know, I've had people tell me that they want to set up electronic shops to compete with, you know, MediaMarkt and Saturn and these other big electronics retailers. Most of those companies are losing money in Poland, and this is publicly available information which tells you that if they can't do it, then it can be very hard to do that. What else can we learn from it? So you can use the internet to check your competitors. You're looking for their hiring policy, for their clients. Sometimes companies will list their clients on their website. You can look to try and find out how large they are. You can sometimes get good ideas from competitors. It's a very important thing not to think that you're necessarily cleverer than everyone else when you're in business, because usually if people are in business for a while, they must be doing something right. One of the things that you can use for the internet for is improving your business, and education is effectively available for free. I showed you one lecture from one short talk from TED.com. The average quality of talks on TED.com is better than the average quality of lectures at Cambridge University, and I didn't study here in Krakow, but from what people tell me, I would guess that not every lecture in AGH and not every lecture in the Jagiellonian University is that high quality. You can get the whole of MIT online for free. All their lectures are streamed for free under Creative Commons license. So if you want to get knowledge, it's really very easy. And it's a big opportunity because you can quickly close the gap with your competitors. Obviously, you can improve your technology. We've talked about communicating with customers and recruiting people. You have to answer the question, why would people buy from us? And for those of you who've got business ideas, what would be your main tactic to get people to buy from you rather than from other people? This is what you might call your unique selling proposition or your core competitive advantage. We've got the programming business and we've got the Mexican food business. Gabriel, what would it be about your food business that you think would make people buy your Mexican food rather than someone else's? And anyone else with a business idea? This is probably the most important question to answer if you have a business, is why do my customers choose me? And if you can't give a good answer, your business will probably fail.
Thanks. That's pretty encouraging.
That's okay.
Well, I think, well, first of all, would be about making sure that what I'm selling is original and not let it fall into what is happening now into many places that are doing the same. My competitors, I would say. That's one thing.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop you. So there has to be some difference. You know, and obviously if the differences were worse, that's not good. You have to set the benchmark against your competitors, know who your competitors are, and think, how can I be better than that? And the internet makes it far easier to find out what the standards are. It was hard 20, 30 years ago. Now it's really easy. So that's one example. You're going to have unique products or food compared to your competitors. What else?
Better salsa. No. No, well, that's just one thing. And, well, it's just as simple as, like, the customer support, right, which I believe in Poland is not so good still. Well, just, I think coming from abroad, that has a big advantage for that. As you were saying, like, knowing that these businesses are working, and if you see that I mean, for us as foreigners, that we can see how, like, actually there is a question, how come they are working in the situation they actually are, and I think that you can reproduce their business in just a better way, you know. Does that answer your question? I don't know.
No, and there's more than one answer to that question. Anyone else with a business idea who wants to talk about how their business would be better? We had a lot of entrepreneurs at the beginning of my... Mieliśmy masę ludzi, którzy chcieli mieć firmy. Tak, tutaj.
If a product you want to offer is basically the same throughout the whole competition, you can focus on if it is easier for your customer to buy from you than your competition. I think it's a very interesting and very important feature to make sure it is easy to become your customer, it is easy to find you, and it is easy to pay you.
This is a very good answer. It's not just about having the best product, but like the whole process. One of the larger companies I'm involved in is called ArtBuzz Translations. We have about 90 full-time people here in Krakow, and it was our main competitive advantage 10, 12 years ago that we would do business with foreign customers on the basis of receiving a fax. Most of our competitors were Polish translation companies who didn't trust their customers, so the process of becoming a customer involved sending an umowę, dwukopię, podpis na każdą stronę, and you can only imagine how badly a British or American customer reacts to being sent 2 copies of a legal contract and being expected to sign them. We simply trusted our customers. Obviously, some of them cheated us, but it was a really important source of competitive advantage that it was easy to become a customer of us because we trusted them. And obviously, it sounds quite strange that this is how you can become the largest translation company in Poland, but that was the key thing at the beginning. So making it easy to do business is part of the overall experience. A very good question to ask about your business is, what problem are you trying to solve? And you can say that a drill, for example, the good example is a drill is not a drill, it's a means of making a hole in a wall. The problem you want to solve is making a hole in the wall. The drill is a way of achieving it. The Mexican food business, I guess you're solving the problem of being hungry, but you're also solving the problem potentially of being hungry and wanting a tasty solution. But why is it important to think in terms of problem solving rather than in terms of products and services, do you think? Right, and I mean, it's a great idea if you want to have a business and you don't have your idea, yet just look for things that are annoying or inconvenient and think quite often the start of a business idea may be just coming across something that seems like annoying or inconvenient. How many people here collect packages from Poczta Polska? Poczta Polska is not... Does anyone here work for Poczta Polska? No. Good. I'm not surprised. I'm not a huge fan of Poczta Polska, but what happens when the post office wants to deliver a parcel to you when you're out? How do you feel? What happens? Can someone take me through the process? Okay, so you've ordered something from, I don't know, Amazon or Allegro, and you're not at home when the post office comes. So what happens? Okay, and how do you feel about that process?
Personally, I hate it.
You hate it?
I know that I will must spend a few hours on a queue at the post office.
Yeah, okay, so what we heard is personally I hate it. You're not the only one who hates it. I believe that what are the solutions to this problem that are better than the post office? Okay, that's one solution. Has everyone here heard of paczkomaty? The paczkomaty are these boxes where they deliver. Basically, the paczkomaty idea, I think, came into existence because of the post office problem. Probably the internet home delivery process is a great process if you have a good post office, and it's a disaster if you have a bad post office, which, as we all know, Poland does. So the problem, the paczkomaty idea, the idea of there are different ways of getting a parcel other than the post office, and this is the genesis of a business idea. You see a really annoying process, and someone figures out a better way of doing it. There are different ways of being better, but generally, every new idea, it has to be somehow better. Not always. Is it a good idea if your new product or service is cheaper? If you're starting a business, do you want to be cheaper or more expensive than your competition? On what does it depend?
If you are targeting some maybe richer people, you have to have an elite product for elite people, then you want to be more expensive. Also, there are some rules of some psychological rules that make more expensive products more attractive.
Okay, it's nice if you can do it. It's Michal, is your business more expensive or cheaper than your competitors, or don't you know? It's going higher. It's very normal when you're starting a business, a service business, to be cheap to get the first customers, and then we raise our prices as we get more track record. So yeah, look for annoying processes. This is going to be the final slide, and the 4 C's and the 4 P's of business. The things that you can summarize every business in, and you can use the internet to research each of these. And I'd like you to try and figure out what the 4 C's are that you can structure every business. And this is a very useful thing to remember, because if you know about the 4 C's and the 4 P's, and you meet a businessman or a businesswoman, an entrepreneur from anywhere on the planet, and you don't know what to talk about, you can ask them about the 4 C's. Every business can be analysed in terms of the 4 C's and the 4 P's. All businesses worry about them. Let's see whether you can figure them out. We've talked about some of them already. So what are the 4 C's? Competitors, yeah, we talked. Okay, so you meet some guy and he says, he says, I'm a businessman, and you say, what do you do? And he says, well, I do low surface tension, self-adhesive polymers for a jet engine, aeroplane surface fastenings. And you don't really figure out what he does. So you say, tell me about your competitors. And he'll start talking and you'll figure it out. The competitors, what else? Customers or clients, for sure. So tell me about your clients. What sort of clients do you have? Okay, what else? Costs. You guys are quicker than Akademia Ekonomiczna. I'm impressed. Przepraszam, Uniwersytet Ekonomiczny. Costs, what's the 4th C? Może być. I think it's cash, gotówka, money. Obviously, you need to have money. You need to know how much capital you've got. The 4 P's. No. Sorry. The 4 P's in marketing: price, promotion, product, and place. But that's about understanding marketing. And usually, if I ask about the 4 P's, I get that. But price is a feature of a business, but it's not like a key, I guess it is important, but it's not what I'm looking for. People, yeah. You can find one of the most important things and the hardest things if you're a small business is to be attractive for really smart people. It's something that quite often you don't appreciate. You're competing against bigger companies with more money, with a brand name, reputation. It's really, really hard to get great people to come work for you when you're small, and you need to think really hard about how to do that. And you can't just give shares in your business to people, because after a certain point there's nothing left for you. But people, for sure. So, problems you solve. That's a good answer. It's not on my list, but we'll say the 5 P's. What problem are you solving? Yeah. Okay. Product, yeah, product or service. What is the product? What is the service? What is it about your product or service that means that people are choosing to send their money to you? So far, the 3 P's, we've got people and product. I've just realised I can't remember what my 4th P is, so I hope you get... What? Passion, no. I know what my 3rd P is. And it partly reflects on the answer we had earlier about making it easy to do business. What do you need to have if you have a business?
The most important factors are within the time. When you are necessary and you are cooperating, you can be asked, do you have the time? But sometimes we are not able to have some big comfort. We had signed a kind of contract, and we have to be done when we are essentially necessary. So time and quality. Those 2 factors within determining less or bigger percent there must work great and be as fast as possible and as good as possible, optimal quality and time.
Okay, what does the A of, everyone knows what an MBA is. What does the A stand for in MBA? Administration. Administration sounds boring, but you have, the 3rd P is process. You have to have a really good idea of what happens, what are the processes. It's like writing a computer program, the flowchart. And there's this whole concept of business process automation, having good administration. You have to have a really clear idea of what happens when you get an order, how you deliver your product or service. Very often entrepreneurs don't do this, they do it themselves, kind of their processes are in their minds, and that makes it really hard to expand because you've only got one mind. And an important secret is to look for people who are smarter than you and teach them the processes. I've more or less finished. We've got till 8:15, so we've got like another couple of minutes. But does anyone have any questions? The point about the internet is you can use the internet to research the 4 C's: competitions, costs, cash, and clients, to find people, to look at products and services, to understand your processes. And I think the 4th P is probably promotion. Your processes need to be in terms of good administrative processes, which you can obviously use the internet for. It's much better to take an order on an online shop form, generate your invoice, your internal documents out of one single form that the customers fill in online. But are there any questions or comments or answers, or shall we wrap things up and meet again in the bar in 45 minutes? Any questions at all or comments? Okay, yes, one question. And then you're free.
Zostanie po polsku, bo będzie dużo prościej. Więc mam takie pytanie. W broszurze jest napisane, że zajmuje się, to znaczy planuje Pan wspierać, a czasem inwestować w nowe pomysły, projekty i inicjatywy. Chciałam się zapytać, w jaki sposób można ewentualnie podesłać propozycję takiego projektu, w jaki sposób mógłby Pan ewentualnie pomóc w jego realizacji albo promocji?
Jak ja mogę to pomagać, tak?
Tak.
Po prostu wyślesz mi mail i to moje, nie wiem, czy mój adres e-mailowy jest tutaj. Ja mam stronę internetową richardlucas.com albo przez pmrcorporate.com wysłać wiadomość do Richard Lucas, albo przez www.richardlucas.com jest taki formularz kontaktowy. Ja czasami inwestuję w małe przedsiębiorców, ale nie gwarantuję jakiejkolwiek inwestycji. Oczywiście to jest case by case. Ale z drugiej strony ja bardzo chętnie udzielam po godzinę opinię, radę, jakby dobrowolne. W jaki sposób? Po prostu wyślesz mi mail, powiedz co chcesz, ja powiem Ci, jestem w stanie Ci pomagać. Oczywiście lepsze jest mieć taką wstępną analizę zrobioną pierwszy, jakie masz konkurencje, jakie są koszty, jaka jest przewaga i tak dalej, i tak dalej. Tym więcej informacji, tym lepiej. Jeśli wybierasz do podjazdu ramy, możesz mnie zapytać później dzisiaj. To koniec? Okay, so this talk is over. Thank you very much. Dziękuję bardzo.